Hello and happy Friday, everybody. Here's what's coming up tonight on Now. Governor LePage is talking about getting rid of tolls. What would that mean? We will have a live report.
We're talking sex addiction. A lot of us have heard about it, but how does it affect teenagers? We'll look into that.
Also, big night for the Boston Celtics. We are live at the Garden for Game 2.
This is News Center Now. For joining us. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. How do you feel about a turnpike with no tolls?
That is the idea that's behind a bill from the governor.
Yeah,
right.
Save some money, right?
It could be helpful,
Sure.
but a lot of questions are coming out of this.
Yeah, well, he wants to get rid of the tolls that right now are on the highway. Now, that would also then get rid of the Maine Turnpike Authority. So Chris Costa is following this story. He is live in York County. All right, Chris, we have a lot of questions on this one.
Yeah, Lee and Amanda, that's no surprise. Basically what would happen is the Maine Department of Transportation would take over all the responsibilities of maintaining the highway. They would get rid of all of the tolls except for one. This one right here, the York Toll Plaza. The MTA's executive director says that this toll plaza brings in $50 million a year in revenue, in toll revenue, 50. That's for the whole state. That's about 40% of what the entire state makes. So he's not the only person who's skeptical, who's wondering how are they going to make up the extra 60% if this bill passes.
Hey, do you want another sandwich?
Moms like Erin Porter drive up and down the Maine Turnpike all the time.
I don't think we have a surplus of tolls in Maine to be concerned about.
There you go. She's one of the thousands of Mainers who would not have to pay tolls anymore if Governor LePage's new bill goes through, dissolving the Maine Turnpike Authority.
Somebody has got to maintain this road. And somebody has to pay to maintain this road, and it's costly.
The MTA's executive director says people from out of state pay 2/3 of the highway tolls. The MTA uses 100% of that revenue for its operating costs.
What he's proposing is not impossible for the state to do. It's just that the state has to think very deeply about how it would find the money to support this road if we didn't have the toll revenue.
Representative Ellie Espling, who presented the bill, says those answers will likely come at a public hearing for the bill. She says Mainers are being doubly charged with taxes for the highway fund and through tolls. Drivers like Erin say the last thing she wants is to pay more on items like an excise tax for her car.
I feel like that really hits Mainers a lot, and so I feel like to add anything to that would be unfair.
So we did reach out to the governor's office in hopes of getting a little bit more explanation on how they would make up that lost toll revenue. We didn't get a response today. The bill states that the MTA would have to pay off all of its bonds in the next 10 years. The executive director says that in order to do that, they would have to raise tolls by about 25%. Lee and Amanda?
All right, Chris. Yeah, thank you. So we want to hear what you guys have to say about this, and there are a lot of opinions out there. Is a toll-free turnpike a smart idea for Maine?
You see something just popped up on the bottom of your screen. This is our Pulse. This is how you can vote. Log on to pulse.newscentermaine.com or go to our app and click on Pulse to make your voice heard.
Becca says we're going to lose money if this happens, and Martin says nice, we would be like some of the other states. So
yeah.
There you go.
Meanwhile, as you're voting, we're going to head over to Keith because we had another beautiful day, and I think we are starting to get used to this.
Yeah, you almost forget about last week and how miserable it was. Temperatures obviously hot yesterday. They were warm through the first half of today, but a cold front has come through all but Portsmouth. You can see where that front is located. All the cool air back here, Berlin, Weld, and into Greenville into the 50s. Meanwhile, in the 70s along the coastline. So that cool air driving towards the coast. Look at Boston hanging on at 86. So again, as far as classic cold fronts, ones that you can find on a temperature map right here is where that front is. It will get through all of Maine in the next couple of hours. Not only is it cooler, it's bringing in drier air. I don't think that yesterday was overly humid in my opinion. This morning it was getting a little sticky, driving those dew points right back down as this front comes through. Haven't been that many showers with the front though. It's been mainly dry, just a few high thin clouds that have spread on down. We'll watch those dissolve. Tonight is mostly clear. Temperatures continue to drop. In some cases getting down into the upper 30s by tomorrow morning. Then we bounce back up. Guys, at this point the weekend looks looks fantastic, but we're going to have quite a temperature swing. Some of us will get to around freezing on Sunday morning.
From 90s to around freezing. I love this place. It's so great. All right, a quick update to a story now we showed you last night about kids and dogs getting caught or left in hot cars. Bonnie emailed and she said, hey, in tonight's report on animals or kids in hot cars, the reporter advised not to break the window. I found this law. Do you know if it's true? Well, some popular dog websites do say that through Maine law, anyone can break a car window open and remove an animal if their safety, health, or well-being appears to be in immediate danger from heat or cold.
We double-checked Maine state law. According to Maine.gov, a law enforcement officer, humane agent, animal control officer, or firefighter are the only people authorized to remove an animal from a hot car. So hope that helps clear things up for you. By the way, if you ever have a question you want to ask us, email us. Ask now at WCSH6.com or WLBZ2.com. And speaking of dogs, a dog that Governor LePage tried to pardon earlier this year will likely get to live. According to the Dakota the dog's owner's lawyer, the state prosecutor, the victim, and the previous dog owner have reached an agreement. Not only that Dakota could be racing soon, Maloney has proposed sending Dakota to an animal rescue in New Hampshire that trains huskies to be sled dogs. The only catch, Dakota wouldn't be allowed to return to Maine and would have to stay in the New Hampshire rescue facility. The agreement has to be approved by a judge.
About 50 prison employees found out they would be laid off today is when they found out. The governor wants to shut down the Washington County facility in a matter of weeks. Some inmates would be relocated to other prisons. Other inmates would have their sentences commuted. However, two Republican lawmakers say that the governor needs legislative approval to shut down the minimum security prison. In March, the legislature's Criminal Justice and Public Safety committees unanimously recommended to keep that facility open.
Police say a student who brought an airsoft gun to a high school will not be charged. The scare forced 4 Westbrook schools into lockdown mode this morning. Police questioned 2 18-year-olds and a 16-year-old. Officers say the gun was in a student's car. Westbrook chief says it's not considered a firearm by Maine law because airsoft pistols don't shoot off a projectile by explosive force.
That we not react and we keep our conduct.
Black Lives Matter's protester returned to court today. You may remember the group organized a protest in Portland last summer after 2 black men were killed by police in Louisiana and Minnesota. 17 protesters were charged with obstructing a public way. With a new judge today, attorneys tried to find a new way to resolve the case and decide whether criminal charges should be reinstated. A decision is due next week. There was another protest outside the courthouse today.
Whether it's a fire call or someone screaming on the phone that somebody's broken into the house, it's not the police officer that gets that, it's the dispatcher.
Eric Berry has spent 3.5 decades as a dispatcher for Scarborough Public Safety. He is retiring next week, and his story is just one that we will be sharing on Monday as part of our special program, First Responder Day. We are dedicating a half hour to the people who are on the front lines of public safety. That's Monday at 5 o'clock. Right here on Now.
And don't forget, if for some reason you can't watch us live at 5 on any given day, we post the entire show on our YouTube page every night at 7:30. So just head on over to YouTube and search News Center Maine. So of course you can binge watch News Center now, because what else would you rather be binge watching?
Stay involved in their lives and have these conversations with them.
You know, you should be checking in with your teens about their online activity, but how often do you actually do that? The reason the experts say you have to start plugging in now.
And the Celtics are getting ready to take on the Cavaliers at home tonight. We have a live preview from the Garden. Now, to get a pulse of how you feel about a toll-free turnpike, we asked, is a toll-free turnpike a smart idea for Maine? And here are the results. 66% of you think, no, we need those funds.
Keep voting?
Yeah.
Is it still open? Still open.
Looks like it's still open,
Keep
yeah.
voting.
A lot of people weighing in on Facebook too, so thank you for joining in on that conversation.
All right, so this one is possibly uncomfortable because, and it's difficult for parents to talk to their kids, but there is a growing number of people that suffer from addiction to sex. And at a time where everything is just a few clicks away, even by your phone, more and more teens are being exposed to sexually graphic material.
But what are the signs we should look for, and how do you even start to help?
She discovered it at 13 years of age.
I would watch pornography from the time I got home from school until my mom got home.
Soon, Jessica Harris knew she had a problem.
I had a pornography addiction. It consumed my life, and when I tried to stop, I could not.
So her addiction continued in college.
Chat room sex with strangers, men and women.
Eventually, Harris got treatment to deal with the problem. Now she speaks before church leaders, parents, and others, making them aware of sex addiction. She says it's become an epidemic among the young, primarily because of social media.
There's porn on Facebook, there's porn on YouTube, there's porn on Instagram, Snapchat. All of them have some kind of pornography on them.
St. Louis-based licensed counselor Frank Thea says when you allow a child or teenager access to social media without any responsible context or explanation for sexually explicit material,
you've just essentially handed your child a loaded weapon.
The reason? Thea says exposure to sexually graphic material can cause the brain to release natural mood-heightening chemicals like dopamine that can have a powerful impact on teenagers.
You are releasing a flood of neurochemicals in the brain that go, wow.
Combine that with graphic material they can easily get their hands on, and over time, in some cases, you end up with an addict.
They've been living decades, oftentimes, in the shadows.
Signs of the addiction include isolation, mood changes, or, as an adult, an escalation from porn to strip clubs to constant anonymous hookups.
Whether they're married, engaged, have a long-term partner, you'll see these kinds of behavior.
But there is help, which includes anonymous 12-step programs and therapy. And if you want to help your loved ones avoid the addiction altogether, both Theus and Harris agree. Healthy conversations about sex and social media with your kids can go a long way.
But again, the emphasis is non-shaming, non-judgmental.
Don't just lock them in a room with a piece of tech and think, at least I know they're not doing anything wrong. Stay involved in their lives and have these conversations with them.
You could be 80 years old or 10 years old and you know probably 5 or 6 of his songs.
Go ahead, Elton John fans in Maine line up to see the Rocket Man live in concert.
And we've got a pretty nice weekend on tap.
Oh. All right, Tom Brady's agent has something to say about all that concussion talk, which was sparked by his wife this week.
Yeah, Giselle told a morning talk show that Brady had suffered a concussion last season. Her comments raised some eyebrows because he's actually never been on the injury list for a concussion.
Today, the agent for the 5-time Super Bowl champion said his client was not diagnosed with a concussion last season. Good to know.
There you go.
From the Pats to the Celtics, and even though Boston is in the Eastern Conference Finals, things did not go so well for Game 1.
Yeah, no, Cleveland pretty much rolled over the Celtics in the series opener. Game 2, though, tonight at the Garden, just a few hours from now. Johnny Mailer might suit up and play tonight, standing by live at the Garden. Johnny, you can shoot the three.
I don't think I can be much help for the Celtics tonight. They're in a must-win situation. Will not help out at all, especially against LeBron. I'll tell you why. In his career, LeBron has never lost a playoff series when jumping out to a 2-0 lead. History also against the Celtics if they lose tonight, because no team has ever come back from multiple 2-0 series deficits. And the C's, of course, dropped the first 2 games of their first-round matchup against the Bulls. Isaiah Thomas said yesterday that even though they did suffer a first-game loss to the Cavs, he is not scared of them. He even dropped some Space Jam references, stating that the guys from Cleveland are not the Monstars, but maybe he did forget that the Monstars end up losing into that movie. Great movie, hopefully a great game. Isaiah Thomas and the rest of the guys out here warming up right now. Game 2, 8:30 tip-off. We'll have more coming up on News Center at 6, guys.
All right, there's Isaiah right behind Johnny there. And listen, the Celtics have had a fantastic season, and I love them, and they are not going to beat the Cavaliers.
This is probably it. Yeah,
that's okay. I'm okay
way.
with that. The arrow is pointing up on the Celtics.
Yeah.
And the weather.
Hard to compute right now. Yeah, the weather's fantastic. This weekend looks really nice. I was saying to Cindy earlier, I was just on Expedia, like, looking for something to do this weekend. Like, it just feels like you should get out and enjoy it, whatever that might be. Hiking, or Paula likes to drag me up mountains every once in a while. All right.
Do you carry Reese's up?
Yeah, Reese's has hiked with us before, but it can't be big steps because he's so short. Doesn't make it very far. Cooling down. You can see that. Look at the mountains sitting in the 50s right now. Caribou 51 degrees, but you can see Portsmouth still on the other side of the front at 78 degrees. Winds are gusty, 25 to 30 miles an hour. Got a lot of reports, some from my weather watchers, that it is noticeably breezy outside. That's a good way to put it. It's not a cold wind, obviously, but it's a wind of a cooler air mass coming out of the northwest. That's how you can tell that the front has come through. West-northwest wind pretty much uniformly all the way to the coastline, and we were south and southwest yesterday with that really warm air mass. So that's the switch in air mass. It will be cooler through tonight and through the weekend. Not much in the way of showers with this front. It's been very scattered, kind of isolated as far as showers go, and we're done for the night. So from now until probably Sunday night, it's going to be dry, which is fantastic, obviously, for the planning purposes of the weekend. So the weekend starts off tomorrow morning with just a few high, thin clouds possible over southern Maine, but they burn off quick. And through the middle of the day, there's really nothing on the map at all. Temperatures in the mid-60s, probably staying in the 50s, even for high temperatures up towards Millinocket and points northward from there. And then Sunday is almost exactly the same. Maybe a few high, thin clouds late in the day on Sunday. Our next storm system moves in on Sunday night, but it's not that big a storm, so the weekend is looking good. Hour-by-hour temperatures, I just want to show you the morning readings will be chilly tomorrow in the 40s for most of us, but watch Sunday morning. We settle down and we get a lot of 30s out here for overnight lows. We could actually crack freezing. Not a hard freeze, but a little bit of frost in the foothills and in the mountains. Then we pop back up after that. What a swing. Freiburg, 94 degrees as of yesterday afternoon, and then I think by Sunday morning, somewhere around 32 or 33 degrees. So 61, 62 degrees swing in a couple of days. Beautiful, then some showers on Monday, partly cloudy on Tuesday, looking decent there. Get some scattered showers back into the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday. This is not at all like what we had last week as far as rainy kind of pattern, but there is a little bit more instability to be had, it looks like, on Wednesday and Thursday. And Lee and Amanda, our show from the pier, at this point looking pretty decent with partly cloudy conditions. Not bathing suit weather, but decent.
Missed our chance on that one.
I was getting it all ready to go to. All right. As we get warmer and people start to think about swimming, here's some fun news for you. The CDC says a diarrhea-inducing parasite is on the rise in swimming pools.
Lovely, right? Crypto cases have doubled in the past 2 years. The parasite is spread through human feces and can survive in chlorinated pools for up to 10 days. To protect yourself and others, avoid the pool if you've been sick, and be sure not to swallow swimming water. By the way, here's a look at what's coming up tonight at 5:30. Emotions run high after parents in Westbrook get an alert about a potential gunman in the high school. And former President George H.W. Bush and his wife Barbara make their first public appearance since arriving in Maine for the summer. And the Kennebunkport community welcomes them back with open arms.
Plus, there are deals out there to be had on everything from house cleaning to your cable bill, but you have to know how to haggle. We'll give you some tips in case you're too shy to speak up. We are not shy, and we'll be back with more now right after this.
Hey kids, shake it loose together.
Fans lined up in person and on their computers in both Bangor and Portland today to see Elton John live in concert.
Waterfront Concerts announced that he would be performing in both cities just 1 week ago, and now there's like a couple tickets left for a hefty price. And here's what the excited group in lines at the Cross Insurance Arena looked like early this morning.
Much money, but boy, if I did.
Oh, been a big Elton fan for a very long time, so he's part of my teenage years, and now he's part of my senior years. So
you could be 80 years old or 10 years old, and you know probably 5 or 6 of his songs.
And I saw Elton John at the Garden like years ago when I was young, at the 70s.
We're retired and we can.
Both times I saw him, he literally sat at the piano for 3 hours, played, got up for a few sips of water, so he's really a great entertainer.
3:10.
In the morning?
Yes.
Was anyone else here?
No.
Probably about 6:15s.
Right here. Right here.
I figure this will probably be his last time that he comes around, and it would be a great opportunity to see him.
You never know if he'll be back in Portland, Maine again.
You never know when you may not be able to ever see him again, so
Yeah, he's
it might
getting
be
up
the
there
last
in age, so it might be his last tour.
And here are the 2 sets of tickets. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm still standing.
Funeral for a friend.
Rocket Man.
Mine, I would have to say, is Levon.
Candle in the Wind.
I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Levon likes his money.
I'm a Rocket Man.
You don't want to hear me sing. You really don't want to hear me sing.
That horrible voice. Seems
So
to
do
me
I.
you lived your life like a candle in the wind.
Hey kids, shake it loose together. Spotlight's hitting something that's been known to change the weather. That's it.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And the tickets that are left online, expensive. $700 they're going for the Cross Insurance Arena in Portland, and $600 for the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor.
And those are like the low prices.
Yeah, so they are going for quite a bit. I have seen Elton John. 1993 at the then Cumberland County Civic Center. Took my dad. It was a Father's Day present. So I took my dad. The show was in October, but I gave him the tickets in June. So
you've been too.
I saw him somewhat inadvertently at a music festival in which he was on a stage doing a main act, and Drake was on the other stage. And because they assumed people didn't want to see both, and I did, but I watched Elton John for a long time, and I was really impressed. You know what's interesting too, by the way, when the secondhand tickets, if you're not absolutely sold that you have to go, I've learned that if you wait till the last, you can literally go there, wait on the last minute on StubHub's app or something like that, and see who panics. Because if they haven't sold their tickets, say 10, 15 minutes before the concert, sometimes they panic. Just an idea.
There you go.
I've used that for NFL tickets before.
Oh.
All right, moving on.
I use Lee for NFL tickets.
I know, yeah.
I was going to say.
Lee or Teddy or someone. Today's Brain Drops is more visual than anything. It's lightning that was captured in Oklahoma. This is on Tuesday night. There was a severe weather outbreak on Tuesday night. And the lightning, watch the way it kind of forks upward into the sky. And I think this is really interesting for a number of reasons. Wait for it here. See how it comes from the ground up there? And then the other one comes down the other way. What it shows you is something that usually your eye can't quite pick up on, which is lightning does not come from the cloud down. It meets somewhere in the middle, and sometimes a little bit on one side or the other. So that's what you're seeing there, is that it's sending a charge off. Turns out that there were 3 towers there, 3 cell phone towers. They send up a signal to the cloud connects them, and they hit in the middle, but your eye usually can't perceive that.
Oh wow,
that's pretty
so
cool.
That's one of those good trick questions, like which direction does lightning come from?
Because that looked like a tree, like it was just going
yes,
from the
so
ground
in that
up.
case, it's getting more energy from the ground than average, but even the average lightning strike that you perceive coming from the cloud is actually meeting somewhere in the middle.
Once again, we learned something on a Friday.
That's the goal, right?
Interesting. Hey, News Center at 5:30 starts right now.